Hey there, Roy from Apotheca Marketing. Have you tried paid search and feel like it just didn't work for you or your company? We're going to look at some of the top reasons paid search might not be working for you and what you can do to solve it. All right, so one of the things that we find with many paid search programs that we look at is what we call keyword dumping. And what that means is that this account isn't structured correctly. As you know, accounts are based on campaigns, ad groups, and then the ads and keywords under that ad group. The campaigns allow you to target very specific things. So whether it's demographics or segments or geography. So taking advantage of that is obviously the first good step to structuring your account. Make sure that it's targeting the right people, that if you sell products, for instance, only in the US, that you're looking at only US people, or if you target nationally, internationally to expand the targeting for that. If you do just geography related sales, so maybe just in Florida, then make sure that your ad campaigns are targeting just that area. Within those campaigns are then ad groups. And what we find is that a lot of people will take an ad group and just dump a bunch of keywords in it for one ad and one landing page. That ad has a specific landing page. Those keywords can have specific landing pages as well, but we find that a lot of people don't take advantage of that. What they do is we'll just dump a bunch of keywords that may or may not be relevant. It could be because of suggestions from Google as it was setting up the account. It could be just random keywords that they threw in that might work. And you'll have a lot of keywords in that account that are not specific to the landing page that they're going to or the ad content in that ad. And so, we had, for instance, one client that had several thousand keywords in one ad group. And those keywords are all over the board. And what that does is it lowers the quality score of the ad and makes it more expensive for when people click through on it. So better targeting for those ad group level ads is going to improve your performance of your account. It's going to lower the cost per click. And it's going to make sure that people are landing on a relevant landing page for the keywords that you're bidding on. The other thing that we find that people often overlook is negative keywords. And so if you sell something that may be commonly confused with another product, or if it's, say, you're bidding on a brand term and there's other companies that use that brand, but maybe in conjunction with a different name, parts of a name or something like that, making sure that you're bidding on those negative keywords will tell Google that when people are conducting this specific search, not to show my ad. And so that's important so that you're not spending money or getting impressions or getting clicks from keywords that really aren't relevant to you. And so going through, seeing what people are actually searching for, what those searches, are they clicking on your ads, making sure to add those negative keywords will keep those, unnecessary clicks, unnecessary cost from impacting your campaign. We touched on it a little bit briefly, but the other thing to make sure that you're doing is that your ad copy, the words in your ad, the text you're using in your headlines and your body of your ad, that they're reflecting the keywords that you're bidding on. And again, it goes back to the idea of having more discrete ad campaigns, or ad groups rather, is that the ad groups then reflect the keywords that you're bidding on for that specific ad. So if somebody searches for a specific keyword, they see it in your headline, they see it in their body copy, and then they also see it on your landing page, it's going to tell them that that is a relevant ad, that they're in the right spot, that they're, this is related to them. It also tells Google the same thing. And so if Google thinks that this is more relevant to the search that's taking place, they're more likely to show your ad, and they're more likely to improve your quality score, which means that you're going to pay less per click for that ad for, say, something that was less relevant, and they're going to charge you more for it. And so by making sure that you're reiterating those common keywords, it's going to impact both the user experience as well as your cost. I mentioned it in the campaign structure, but one of the things that a lot of people overlook is targeting those campaigns. So making sure that that campaign is being targeted to the right location, to the right people, and taking advantage of some of those targeting tools that come with Google. So for instance, you can look at, depending on the type of ad that you're running, you can look at income. You can look at gender. You can look at all sorts of different demographic and geographic um, uh, details that are going to more likely target your audience. You can also upload or segment in Google Analytics. You can create segments that are, for instance, existing customers, people who've purchased on your site before. And by giving Google that information, like, hey, this is a group of people that we're interested in, they're going to model that then to say, these are other people that are like the people that purchased on your site, and we're going to serve that ad up for them. Again, you may get less clicks, you may have a smaller audience, but your ads are going to be more effective and they're probably going to convert better. And if you can convert better and keep your costs low, then you have a more profitable program. A lot of times people will completely forget about the landing page that they're sending people to. And the last thing you want to do is just send everybody to your homepage. And particularly if it's a longer tail or a product specific keyword, if you are targeting a specific thing that people are looking for and you're just dumping them on your homepage, that may or may not be relevant to what they're looking for, and you're going to make them have to navigate. So odds are they're going to leave your site. And so that's going to cost you more because they're landing on your homepage. They're not going to click through and search for what they were already searching for on Google. They're going to leave, which has cost you money. So make sure that your ads, and even down to the keyword level, are specifically targeting the landing page that you want them to land on. And that landing page, one, is a high quality experience, and two, reflects the keywords that they were searching for. The more likely, the more keywords that were in the ad or in their search relevant to that landing page, again, goes to your quality score. It also goes to reaffirming with the customer that this is supposed to be worth landing. Another important thing that a lot of people overlook, because it can get a little complex, is setting up conversion tracking correctly in your Google Ads account. So Google has an ability to put pixels on your site that will understand if people are converting, and whether that's a purchase or whether it's a lead form or a download. If you've identified that as the conversion that you're looking for this particular campaign, then you can make sure that Google is seeing that information. Why is that important? Because Google then takes that information. It knows, one, to report on it in your reporting so you can see conversions, but it's going to look at the people that are converting. And it's going to say that these people, this target audience, this segment, is likely to convert. So let's serve this ad up to more of those people. And so Google's going to optimize serving your ad to those converting metrics. And so the more information it has to do that, the more likely you are to get a better performing ad campaign. Now, leaving out conversion tracking, you absolutely can run ads doing that. You can also say, hey, I'm just interested in clicks to the site. We just want to drive traffic, or we just want to build brand. And that's okay, but it may cost you more money. If your end goal is that conversion and driving either leads or sales, then you want to make sure that the conversion tracking is turned on. It can, like I said, it can be a little complex, and it will. There's a whole process that you can do. We recommend doing it through Tag Manager, but it will actually tell you whether those conversion events are tracking correctly. And it is definitely worth setting up. One of the things that you're going to want to avoid with any campaign that you're running is what we call panic budgeting. And so whenever you start a new campaign or turn on a new ad group or add keywords or make any adjustments or major changes to your campaign, Google goes into a learning phase. So if you, for instance, double your budget on a certain ad group or campaign, it sends Google back into a learning phase. It has to then relearn what are the right audience, who are the right people to see this ad, how often should it serve it up, how, all of the stuff that goes into its AI. And if it's a new campaign or if it's something that you just made a major change to, it can take 48 hours or more, depending on the traffic to those keywords and those ads, for Google to start relearning. And so what happens is people will start a new campaign, and within a couple days, frankly, they're freaking out because they're not seeing conversions. They're spending all this money and nobody's buying. Well, one, it takes time for people to buy. So that's the one thing that we always tell people is, like, depending on the product that you're selling, there is a learning curve. There's a purchase, curve where it may take, several weeks or, a handful of visits or more to your site before they're comfortable buying from you or before they've gone through the shopping process. And so, again, if you're selling mortgages, for instance, it may take them 6 months before they make a decision. If you're selling pens, they're probably going to make that decision that day, and there's going to be a shorter consideration curve. But keep that in mind, depending on your product, that it's going to take time from when they start seeing your ads, when they start buying. Likewise, it's going to take Google some time to figure out the right audience for your ad too. So the last thing you want to be doing is going in, panicking, and adjusting those bids, either lowering them or pausing your ads. And what happens, it sends Google back into relearning. So now, because you were panicking, it's going to then take even longer for Google to understand where it should be serving up those ads. It's okay to be concerned. It's okay to watch your data, but we always encourage people to wait a week or two before making any real decisions about what their budgets are or anything else on their ads until they start to let Google learn and start to see the actual data come through. The last thing you want to do is just make, changes to your ads because you're feeling like they're not working. Let the data make those decisions for you. Give it time to do at least a full week before you start making dramatic changes to your ads. The other thing we see that sometimes leads people to believe that their ads aren't working is they're depending only on last click attribution models. And we've talked about this in other videos, and we'll put a link to it below. But the attribution model is essentially how Google credits your ad for the sale or for the lead or for your conversion. And the default for Google Ads and historically for Google Universal Analytics was last click. So whatever ad got the last click got the credit for that sale. It didn't matter what other campaigns they clicked on. It didn't matter if they clicked on organic search and then clicked on a paid ad. Whatever was the last click got the campaign credit, got the sale credit. And obviously that's not always accurate because you're not giving credit to those other touch points that customers had. So whether that's organic, whether it's another ad, whether it's an email, whatever combination of things that people use to get to your site to finally make that sale, by only giving credit to the last click, you're not seeing that entire journey and you're not giving it the correct, credit for it. So what we encourage you to do is look at last click, but also look at Google's data-driven model. And that is the new default in GA4. And so take a look at that, and you can actually look at the attribution reporting in GA4 and compare those side by side. So you can look at the data-driven model along with last click and see how it changes the credit that's coming into your ads. We've seen this on many campaigns where it looks like a campaign has driven no sales based on last click, when in fact, it's driving quite a bit of sales if you look at the data-driven model. Because what that means is that it was actually part of that process. It was part of the journey that the customer took. They interacted with your ads. And so they should be getting credit. Those ads should be getting credit for informing them and keeping them coming back to your site. And so if you look at both models side by side, you can get a better idea of whether your campaigns are working or not. And last but not least is really understanding how you make that decision about whether your program is working or not. And that means understanding really what things like ROAS and ROI are. So ROAS is return on ad spend and ROI is return on investment. So different agencies and different companies will have various definitions for that. But essentially, you're looking at, for ROAS, how much did you spend on the ad and how much revenue did it bring in? And for companies that aren't retail companies, it's how much value was behind a certain lead or action. Whether somebody signs up for an email or they download something or they fill out a form, they're capturing that customer is worth something to you. And both in Google Ads and Google Analytics, you can assign a value to that. You can say, hey, this typical lead is worth $50 or $100 because of the eventual business we'll get from them. And so looking at what your ad spend is and then understanding, what revenue it's generating is that ROAS model. So where that falls down a little bit is that people aren't taking into consideration product cost or services cost. And so you may have, for instance, an ad group that, cost you $10 and you generated 15, but how much was your product cost? If you sold a product, for instance, that only has, 20% margin, you may have lost money on that ad. So while ROAS looks like it's positive, the actual return on your investment, when you factor in product or services costs, it may not be profitable. And so make sure that you have a good understanding of what those margins are, and so that you can calculate that into your view of whether a program is profitable or not. Don't just look at, hey, we got X percentage more revenue than we spent, because again, that doesn't give you the entire picture of whether something's profitable or not. Again, look at the lifetime value of a customer. Maybe you lost money on that initial sale, but if people tend to repeat buy from you, then it was worth acquiring that customer. So you can look at acquisition costs and lifetime value of a customer. Those are all metrics that you should be looking at, or talking to your agency or talking to your analytics team about factoring into understanding whether these programs are profitable for you or not. So again, it may have actually lost you money. The ROAS may not be great, but if you acquired that customer and over the lifetime of that customer value, then having a flat or negative ROAS may actually be okay if those lifetime values are high. Otherwise, if they're not, then you're going to want to look at what are the profit margins based on your product costs and service costs, and maybe it's not performing well for you. So there's a lot of data that you should be looking at when you're managing your accounts. Sometimes the best thing to do is to go through your account, conduct regular audits, and look at how your account is structured and whether there should be changes. Google's constantly tweaking and making changes to how their ads are served and how the accounts are structured. So it makes sense for you to go in and make sure that those ads are being updated on a regular basis. Don't just launch them and let them fly and think that they're going to be okay. You want to regularly maintain them, look at how they're performing, go in and adjust as necessarily, and sometimes even rebuild entire campaigns if it makes sense for you. As always, if this was helpful, give us a like, hit the subscribe, come back for more. We're going to be doing a lot more of these videos, and we'd love to have you join us. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and we'll be happy to answer them. Have a great day.